Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. Thank you very, very much for being here. For Canadians, I wish you a happy July 1st. You're going to be seeing this on the 30th of June, but and I know that the American holiday hits on Saturday, I guess, on the 4th. So we'll get to that one. Alrighty. Um, so for those of you who maybe haven't heard, 45 has once again completely stopped all negotiations with Canada. So let's put this into perspective, right? This is the guy who said 90 deals in 90 days. I don't know how close we are to the 90 days, but I'm thinking a handful of days and like no deal. So, but let's take a look at what upset him this time. So about a year ago, Canada sort of implemented a tax system. And basically it's called the DST, I'm pretty sure. So digital service taxes. So easiest way to explain this is this. You have an American company, American Eagle, operating in Canada. Well, that company pays Canadian taxes for the products that are sold. Makes sense, right? So, about a year ago, it was decided that, like other European countries, it was decided that Canada would start charging this VST. So, this is what it works out to. So, places like Amazon and Meta and like that, who have digital services that function and operate, people purchase them in Canada, um, are going to pay a 3% tax charge on Canadian consumption, basically. Well, and the first payment is due July 1st. Okay. So and listen, a lot of people don't like it. There are Canadian politicians who are like, don't do this. However, the government has decided to carry on and continue this thing. Apparently, we're looking at about $7 billion worth of revenue over the next 3 years or so, 4 years, that comes to Canada. Well, Trump has decided that this is a vicious attack on American businesses, and I guess he's the only one allowed to attack American businesses. I'm not sure. And so he has retaliated. He's had his little temper tantrum. And now he's cut off all negotiations for any sort of negotiation connected to anything, I think, here with Canada. Take a look at that. This whole tariff thing is not working out exactly the way he was told or believed it was going to. I understand that just recently, like last couple of days, he has decided that, oh, wait a minute, American farmers who don't have immigration help, they can't get their crops off. Help, I'm not even sure they can plant them in some cases. So farmers are freaking out, right? Because millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars are being lost, not only in the United States, but the products that are exported out. So apparently Trump came out with a statement the other day basically saying, well, listen, we only want the criminals deported. If you are a honest, upstanding citizen, I'm paraphrasing, well, then of course you absolutely can stay in the United States. So tell this to the young children that he imported to countries that they have no connection to, or their parents or grandparents had a connection to. I don't know. Let's take a look at what's going on inside Trump's head as he's realizing that his negotiating skills are not up to snuff. Wonder if he even realizes that. But I'm pretty sure he's starting to realize that he is doing his level best to bankrupt the United States. All right, here we go. Good luck. Trump on trade, Trump on trade, Trump on trade. We're starting with the Ten of Pentacles, which, you would think is brilliant. This is what he was thinking, or continues to think, is that the money's just going to roll on in. It's just going to roll on in. And he's going to be some financial mastermind businessman who, who, who who brought the money rolling in. And he feels that way because he truly believes that he continues to be the most powerful man on the planet. He's not. I'm not sure who is, but he's not. What he is the laughing stock. He has no ability, frankly, to negotiate well. He has no people skills. He is doing and saying things that are incredibly ill-advised, but he believes that the world is going to come to him, bow down and kiss the ring. In his head, he has some sort of a fantasy going on that he is all powerful, more powerful. Part of the energy of this card is actually talking about feeling that he was very emboldened and very powerful during his last term in office. And so that has basically said to him, hey, you have permission. You have permission to do whatever the hell you want. And nobody's going to stop you. And sometimes he's been right, because the people who would stop him and should stop him are Republicans who are lying directly behind him, and they won't. So he has become more and more emboldened, more and more taking the attitude of, what can you bring me? Not my country, but me. What can you, other countries, bring to me? Even look, industries within the United States. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to give me if I give you this, right? So because of that, it's become very, very just sort of erratic, right? He, again, lately all this card does to me when I'm talking about the United States is, the fish rots from the head down. And that's basically what's going on here, right? The people who should be restraining him in some way are so busy in this false adoration of him that they are literally just standing by and watching it all fall apart and it all, fall to pieces. Queen of Wands. Normally this card has a different story. But in this grouping of cards, it really boils down to he is of the opinion that his word is, gospel. And so he continues to sit on his throne and send out insults and threats, etc. Where he's taking himself literally is to Three of Swords. Truly a place of a broken heart. Because what is happening is that all the other countries that believe in sort of unilateral trade deals, believe in democracy, believe in working together or banding together. It was just the other day that Mark Carney said, well, if the United States doesn't want to lead, if Trump doesn't want to be the leader, translation, most powerful person in the planet, other countries will, and other countries are going to step up. And it may not right now be a single country, but it's definitely looking like a coalition of companies. So, and one of the other things that Mark Carney said that has a lot of sort of serious implications is that for a long, long time, Canada's views, their morals, their ideas were in complete concert with the United States. But now Canada is aligning itself to Europe because that is where we are finding like morals, beliefs, behaviors. That really leaves him kind of out in the cold. So this is the thing. He was sure he was going to be so admired, so idolized. The world was going to look up to him and basically bow down to him. But where he's at is the Nine of Swords. He is actually dealing with a fair bit of insecurity. He's dealing with a fair bit of anxiety because somewhere along the way in the past, I heard sort of an interview that Trump did when I think at the opening of the Taj Mahal Casino, which of course went bankrupt. But at the beginning of at the opening, apparently there was I don't know, almost like a huge issue because a whole bunch of the machines weren't in working order, right? They hadn't been turned on. I guess in some crazy way, he thought, well, I'm not going to turn them on until I know there's a demand. Okay, I'm giving him that much credit. But of course, it was a huge embarrassment when, this place opened and it wasn't working, basically. And he did an interview and he said, well, the system was so overwhelmed by the volume of people who just had to come because, it's a Donald Trump production, that we experienced a sort of an electrical glitch. Okay, so machines that were never set up, when it was pointed out and made an embarrassment, well, that just became an electrical glitch caused by overwhelming demand. So that's how the brain works, right? So even though he says one thing to the world, and he's looking out at the world because the world doesn't love him, okay? More and more is that sort of sense of his superiority is not manifesting itself. He worries, he's anxious, and he's worried that he may end up having to leave looking not at all like he had anticipated. Now, I say that understanding that on some other level, he has no intentions of leaving. Okay. You know, this is somebody who can't see forward, can't make any decisions because he is so turned inward to his own self, his own ego, his own all of it, that he truly is incapable. Final card, Ten of Swords. This isn't going to end well for him. Unfortunately, what doesn't end well for him doesn't end well for the good people of the United States. Including Republicans who voted for him because the price of eggs was too high. That was their reason. They didn't want a woman in office. They thought she had a silly laugh. The problem now is that he's pushed himself up against other world leaders who are actual leaders in their countries. And I'm sorry, but taking on Mark Carney, who is not a politician, make no mistake. What he is a banker. Okay, this is somebody who led the Bank of England. He was head of the Bank of England during Brexit. He was head of the Bank of Canada during COVID. Canada came out of COVID in so much better shape than was expected because of him. Bankers look at things in terms of profitability, investment, expansion. They don't have sort of these dreams in the sky way of looking at things. And I think that in some ways, 45 was truly, truly ill-equipped to deal with somebody who came from that mindset. So he is going to continue to have toddler tantrums. And he's going to continue to make a fool of himself. And as a result, diminish the United States' standing globally. Let's see if the pendulum maybe has a couple of insights. My first question is a correction from Friday's Pendulum Friday. I asked the question if Danielle Smith, who is the premier here of Alberta, if she was going to be removed from office before the election in 2027? Apparently the pendulum said no, and I said yes. Let's ask the question. Pendulum, is Danielle Smith going to be removed from office before the 2027 election? Make up your mind. Okay, that's a really strong no, so I stand corrected. Let's ask a few other questions here. Pendulum, is Donald Trump going to serve his full term in the Oval Office as president? Is he going to serve his full term? So 3.5 more years. Wow, that's a really, really big no. You know what I'm hearing? And I've never heard this before, so we'll see if I got a hit, if I'm right. What I'm hearing is after the midterms, when the Democrats literally take over the House and the Senate, at that point, he's going to be impeached. And if he's impeached, there will be enough votes to find him guilty and have him removed from office. Let's ask this. Pendulum, is Donald Trump going to be, okay, wait a minute, let me think. So in 2025, so the midterms are 2026, they would move into office 2027. Okay, so Pendulum, is, yeah, I got that right. Is Donald Trump going to be impeached successfully impeached and found guilty with Democrat majorities? That's a yes. Is he going to win a Nobel Peace Prize? I gotta ask, right? Nobel Peace Prize. Is there one for Donald Trump coming up? No. So clearly there is some sanity still left in the world. All right. That's what I know for right now. Until next time. Take care. Be well. Include your questions for Pendulum Friday. Which is July 4th. I will be doing a Pendulum Friday for that date. There's some questions that I want to double check. In fact, you know what? I'm going to double check one of them right now. Pendulum, is there going to be significant, serious, widespread terrorism attacks during the 4th of July holiday in the United States? Okay, that's a no. You'll notice I worded the question slightly differently. Let's ask this. Are there going to be smaller, spread out attempts or attacks from terrorists in the United States over the July 4th weekend? That's a yes. Okay, so nothing big, But if you're out and about, be mindful. I will see you on Wednesday, and I will see you again on Pendulum Friday. Till then, take care and be well. Bye for now.